What's up, Crypto Ape? How you doing, mate? Bit of a later start for me today. Don't mind me. Let me just grab all the links. Put out the blast to everyone. Screams up. And then also Twitter. Gotta let Twitter know. Alright, that's all out there. What's up, Jack? How you doing? Alright. Can you guys see me alright? Can you hear me? It's saying good connection, so it should be working. Sweet. What's up, Sean? Let me just adjust the volume of the music here. So what do we got? We got ourselves a pennant or symmetrical triangle right now. Since yesterday, we fell out of that rising wedge, which was somewhere in here, right? The rising wedge. So textbook play, we fell out, we found support, which has given us this new trend line. And now we're starting to potentially rally back up. Now we did tag price above 17,000 again, only brief, but it was there. And now we're just seeing if we can maintain this supposed uptrend. So if just circling the lows that we're dealing with, like the prominent lows, you got, I suppose that one there, this one, and then this one. So they're all higher than the previous. What's up, Jimmy? And you know, that's the hallmarks of an uptrend. So until that breaks, until we start getting lower lows, then this is still an uptrend, and it's still looking like it could test 17,000 again, but we got to keep our eye on that low. You know, as soon as we lose this, or even this, that's when I'd start to say, okay, this uptrend that we've had is over, and that we're gonna start trending back down. And then vice versa, like when you're on a downtrend, you're focusing on the highs. So you're wanting to make sure that the highs are lower each time in a downtrend, because as soon as they change, like here, we've got to change. So from this high here, as soon as we broke it right there, that's what changed this downtrend to an uptrend. So that's basically the market structure. So I'm going to go across to the Bitcoin index chart. So this is actually just a combination and an average of all exchanges that trade crypto, that trade Bitcoin, right? So this is going to be like your index price, and this is what all exchanges use to for their mark price, I would say. Now, last price on an exchange is always going to be different depending on the exchange you're on. They're all very similar, but they aim to be close as possible to the index price, which is what this chart is. So this is like kind of like Bitcoin actual, if you will. So, and the cool thing about this actual chart is that you get the full history of Bitcoin on it. So if I go logarithmic, you know, it ranges all the way back to the 1st of July 2010, which is, you know, the first sort of like traded values that Bitcoin had on an exchange. I think it was Mt. Gox, I don't know, something like that. I wasn't around doing it at that time, so I came in around this area a little bit late. That's not too bad. I mean, almost, well, I guess the halfway point's more like somewhere through here. Or like, let's see, maybe like, yeah, around here or something. So yeah, I came in a little late, but you know, better late than never. And even if you came in on this peak over here, that's not bad either. Like, we're still relatively new. Like, crypto's still a fairly young thing. Anyway, back to the point of this chart. I just want to see what's happening on the higher time frame. So out on the weekly, we've still got a lot of evidence of bullish divergence. So we've got a lower low here on price. It's very clear. Lower low on price, higher low on oscillator. Now, technically speaking, that is an indication that we're due for some kind of rally going up. When you have bullish divergence, that's the expected move, is a movement up. How you doing, Honest? Good to see you on the stream. So yeah, it's that's what we're sort of looking at here. We're just waiting for this squeeze to finish. Let me go down to a lower time frame. So we're out on the weekly right now. I'm sure you could probably spot the divergence on the daily as well. Yeah, it's there. Kind of. I mean, you can sort of see it. You know, nothing has come in on RSI lower than the June low yet, which is all the way back here. We haven't had a lower reading on RSI for some time. Like, there was one back here. That did last. I keep getting phone calls, but they're all scams. I'm just going to ignore that. All right, so having said that, would you guys agree, or can you see that at least from a price perspective, Bitcoin seems to be slowing down? Like, the selling, you know, these falls were very rapid and long distance falls, right? But I don't know, am I going crazy, or are these drops getting smaller? Are we squeezing down and rounding out a bit? You know what I mean? It just that's just seems to be the theme here. And I'm not saying that that's going to hold price. You know, that doesn't mean that we're going to stop falling, like, for good, but it is a trend that's playing out right now. There is definitely a ramping down. So I guess that's kind of like what we're counting on right now, is we're trying to establish a floor to the market. It does, I mean, we had a similar kind of effect back here in 2018. We ramped. But then, you know, obviously there was that final capitulation, which was very scary. We fell another 50%. From that point, we fell 50%. Could that happen again? Of course it could happen again. Will it happen again? That's the more important question. So, where did my favorite SPA go? There it is. All right. I'm going to jump back out to the weekly and put a very important line on the chart. And that is the support right here. So, at least on the index, it is coming in a little under 14,000. So that line is 13,870 on the index. Now, we zoom out again here. We're not far off it. I mean, a drop down to test that high from here would be a 17% drop from here. So I guess, yeah, well, from here, that's still reasonable. It's a reasonable drop. If you got a 17% drop, that's an amazing short position to take. If that was to play out, if we are to test 14k or 13,880, whatever you want to call it, yeah, a 17, almost 18% drop is a very profitable move. But yeah, I guess the big question is, are we even going to get that? At least in this like perspective, like this time zone or area of time that we're in, there is evidence of a lot of buying right here, like with these wicks. If we go up to the weekly, look at the wicks on the weekly chart. So far, we seem to be holding this line right here. Let me just draw a horizontal. So roughly there. That seems to be like our weekly low. And can you see where price recently bounced from? Look at that. Bang on. I don't know why that's not circling properly. Let me go down to the hour chart. Okay, look at that. See that? Support off the weeklies. The weekly close and opens on the low side. It's a very clean bounce. Now, given that, like we know we have a high and we know we have a low, so we can do a Fibonacci retracement on that with that information like this. And now we can see what levels we're dealing with as resistance if we're to climb back up. So I just scroll across here. We've gotten seemingly on top of the 236 fib level. Now the next target is 17,074, which is the 0.382 fib. A 50% retracement back to that high would be 17,321. And then the golden ratio, the golden number, 17,568. Then we've got 17,920. But yeah, obviously these are the first ones to get past before we go up higher. So let's not get ahead of ourselves just yet. Just because those levels exist doesn't mean they're going to get hit. It's just a way to see if price is reacting off them when it gets into that zone. What's up, Grade A Music? TA23, how are ya? What's up, Serrano? On a linear regression, it definitely looks like ramping down, but on the log scale, yeah, let me have a look. Daily. This. Log scale is definitely going to show a different picture than linear. I mean, even on a logarithmic sense, there is still a slowing effect. You can see, okay, if I'm to link it up with lines, I can see, just picking out the extreme lows here. It seemed to speed up here. There was definitely a drop there that sped things up. But then look at this. Look how long it's taken us to get down to this low here, or even this low. That's, to me, that screams, that things have slowed down, It's kind of like like Bitcoin's trying to put the brakes on in a way. Especially through all of this area here. We spent a long time trying to establish support. Ooh, Static. Christmas tree. Thanks, Static. Appreciate that, man. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, like, I mean, to me, that definitely doesn't say we're speeding up toward $10,000. You know, I don't know. I'd like to know Static's opinion on this. Like, does he think that Bitcoin's momentum of the sell-off has slowed down? I don't think it's increasing. Tell you what. Fundamental news sped up the drops. Well, I think the place from where it fell was, you know, obviously the first fall's going to be the biggest because it's the most inflated point on the chart, right? So that first drop, understandably, is going to be the most severe. And then, you know, the second drop from like here to here. Third drop, I'm going to call it this high here. Wait, no, this high here. This high here to down to here. Like that. And then we're going to probably call this one here down to, say, this floor over here. It's another drop. Then from up here, the FTX collapse. Can you see a pattern of these drops? Let's compare them. Like, okay, so let me redraw this line. Drop to there from the high. Pull it over. Then we've got this drop here. Get rid of these lines. We'd be fair about it. I'll get a line going from the very top right down to the bottom there. Let's bring that across and compare it with the first drop. Okay, it's shorter. Then this drop, this is like the Celsius drop. So this one's the drop from the all-time high. That's the Luna, Terra Luna drop. This is the Celsius network drop. Now this one's just the drop, the correction from the 25k high that we put in. And then this one's the FTX drop right here. Let me redraw that line. It's very wonky. There, like that. Okay. Tell me that isn't momentum slowing, you know, in a price like sense. I'd be on board with you if we were getting something like this in the future. Like then I'd say, okay, yeah, momentum's picking back up. We're dropping really rapid now. You know what I mean? But we just haven't been getting that yet. So that's to me, that spells that at least, you know, we might be starting to find, you know, people are getting a little more optimistic and buying these levels, right? It's very scientific, I know, right? Anyway, let me delete all this shit. That's visual analysis. It's not technical analysis right there. It's even simpler. Keep it simple. So yeah, that yellow line, that's where the weekly candles have managed, like the candle bodies on the weekly chart have managed to stay at least at or above that yellow line. So if we go back to the weekly, you can see all weekly candles have stayed at or above that yellow line. And to me, that is a big reason why we bounced where we did. If we go back to the daily chart, you know, this recent bounce here, I was trying to figure out, like before, like why the hell did we just bounce at that spot? I couldn't figure it out. And it's, you know, it's the weekly. All right, enough about that. Let's go back to this chart. So this is like the shorter time frame. It's looking like it's kind of ignoring this structure here. So if I unlock this, now that we've got a new low here, maybe it's gonna start turning into, like, you know, this could turn into a, you know, something like that. It's just, you just got to follow price and try to get an understanding of where it's at. If we cut through here, you know, I know it ignores the rest of that wick there, but just trying to get the most sense out of these lows here. Obviously, a straight line's not gonna work because it's gonna cut. It has to cut some of that price activity. This one, you know, you could even argue if you chop all those wicks off, it almost goes through all of that. Now, I guess the main takeaway from this, whatever structure this is, it's squeezing. So once again, like comparing the highs and lows, you can see if, like, when I draw, so this one's actually a little lower than this one over here. It may be on par, but either way, we're going from an expansion and we're contracting down to some kind of an apex, and then we're gonna get a breakout from this squeeze, and you know, from a textbook perspective, we've come up into the squeeze from the bottom, so it's been an uptrend, you know. That's how we've entered the pattern. So if we're to continue, if this is some kind of continuation squeeze, then you would expect a move out to the upside. But obviously that's not a guarantee. Yeah, it looks like it is trying to build some kind of support. There is a lot of there's a lot of order, like a lot of action coming through this range here. You know, with that as an exception, this little like move outside of that, but maybe that was a premature move. Either way, that's pretty much what I'm looking at right now. Let me go to the 1 hour. As a matter of fact, let's go out to the daily. Let's turn all the drawings off. Let's do it back on this chart. There's the FTX drop. We seem to be trading inside of, let's say, this at the moment. Something like this. So right now we're in the middle of the range. So, you know, value, like if you're going to go long, you would pick up a long at the bottom of the range. If you're going to go short, you would pick up a short position at the top of the range. We're in some kind of a rectangle. Now, it does look like a big old bear flag. It's pretty ugly. It's a very nasty bear flag. We've had a series of them the whole year. So, yeah, not much has changed just yet. I think to break that kind of combination that we've been getting is we need to get back above this. That's ideally what would change the direction of this market. But at the moment, you know, we're just trying to figure out where we're going. There's not enough drive just yet. Not enough volume has come in to push it in any which direction. So we're sort of just chopping sideways. We're ranging, and yeah, we're on standby really. I think maybe we might not get the answer until the start of the new year. Like, you know, in less than, what is it? It's 10 days now till the new year, so not long to wait. But hey, I'm not totally ruling out a Santa rally. Like, that could still happen. But yeah, damn, it's been flat. Now, what's this little lightning bolt here? Headlines for Bitcoin. Democrats plan on returning at least $9.85 million in FTX donations. Well, that's a good thing. They're going to return it. Hopefully that goes back to the customers, the FTX customers that got burned. Snapping the skid. I don't know what that is. Yen surges after surprise BOJ, I think that's the Bank of Japan policy tweak. That's sort of like the Fed of Japan, Federal Reserve Bank. Yeah, speaking of, like the DXY had a really nice breakdown out of this. At the time, was a rising or an ascending triangle, and yeah, got the breakdown here. Reattempt, fail, breakdown. Japan crushing the dollar at the moment. So this is the low to beat. We want to get underneath that 103.45. And let's see how the S&P is holding up. Still bearish, still on a bear trend there. So considering that the S&P 500 has done this, right? What has Bitcoin done since then? Similar thing, a little bit different though. We seem to be somewhat maybe looking at a rounding out. This push higher here was interesting because we've got above this structure. We've got back above that structure there with this push. Came right through it. So yeah, the next few hours are going to be very telling, I reckon, of whether 17 breaks and we go higher, or are we going to continue whatever this is, whatever this downtrend is, right? That's how I see it. I went to bed last night hoping that I would wake up to a little bit more action out of the market, but it's been relatively flat. Where did I go to bed? About midnight. So right here. So yeah, I mean there was this push above 17, but for the most part, it's back into the range that I was at before I went to sleep. So I was hoping that we would have left this area already, but it's not just yet. Maybe the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday stock exchange trading in New York will provide that movement that we're looking for. So I feel like, yeah, Monday, Tuesdays aren't usually that dramatic. I think you get the more dramatic moves at the end of the week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Of course, there's probably exceptions to that rule, or not rule, but that trend. Now, the other thing that I was going to talk about was this. There's a much bigger rising wedge at play here as well. So, putting in this low, pivoting off that, has provided us with this blue line ascending right here. And then, our wick up after the FTX drop gave us this pivot point. And then we've recently had that pivot as well. So that gives us the top edge of this rising wedge. Now, rising wedge being a bearish pattern, so always keep that in mind. We had a smaller rising wedge that we've just sort of completed. We actually broke out the top of it and probably trapped a lot of people up here. But yeah, inevitably we got back on track. We dropped below, or dropped down outside of the rising wedge to the downside, which is like the textbook direction, right? That's like your continuation. But yeah, this has been interesting, finding support here. Remember to smash up the like button, guys, if you haven't already, and subscribe to the channel. Let's have a look. Ethereum, I mean, similar kind of thing. Not much movement. There hasn't been a hell of a lot to write about, really, or talk about since the last stream. This bump up, though, yesterday was good. It got us away from the danger zone of like being near the support line. But yeah, I mean, just looking at the chart here, I think a push to retest even 14,040 1440 is not unreasonable. I think that's within the realm of possibility, and that would be a test also of the top of this trend line here. If it takes a couple more days to sort of work its way up, that could be a possibility. That looks kind of natural. Before maybe a rejection here and then rallying back down. We'll see what happens. I mean, for all we know, this could like test support again and break down a lot sooner than we think. Yeah, there's many scenarios there, but this overall structure, there's no doubt Ethereum as well as Bitcoin are both squeezing down toward the end of the year. And something's got to give. Is it going to be the floor or is it going to be the ceiling? So with all that being said, I think the next thing I might just have a quick look at is Dogecoin. Doge. Once again, yeah, it's a similar story, right? These rapid moves up, that's spectacular. Look at where we found resistance on the yellow line here, or thereabouts, right? If we go back out on the weekly, what is the significance of that yellow line? Why did we find resistance right there? And you can see we had a lot of activity bouncing off that point back in the bull market. We had three major, there's a major pivot there, major pivot there, major pivot there. Go across. It was trying to maintain that level as support, so it was recognizing that level, letting it slip a couple of times. Now then it started forming resistance. A bit of a fake out, but resistance. So it is a very key level, that 16 cents, or it's just below 16 cents. It's the number to beat, guys. 16 cents. And then we've got good old, is it 35 is another key level I can see here, judging by this wick down here, touch, this pivot here, bounce, this pivot here. Yeah, that's all sort of one level as well. Now these pivots here, these highs and those highs there, that's your 43. What that dude was calling out, that other channel, 43 for Doge. Yeah. So that's that. Yeah, it's a fair way off, but yeah, important level nonetheless. So that's Doge, guys. It's there's no sign of like a full turnaround just yet. I think Bitcoin is going to be the one that calls the shots with that. And the thing that calls the shots with Bitcoin is obviously the traditional markets and how inflation's going. So the inflation figures, the overall like economic outlook. So if I go to, let's go to the Trueflation website and just see how that's tracking today. So I think we're looking at like a 5.8 the other day. Yeah, it's okay. So it's below 6, put it that way. If we go to the dashboard, I think it might give a more accurate, yeah, so 5.76. So it's still on its like downward trajectory there. Looking good, right? So you can almost, well, not count on it, but you can sort of forecast what's going to happen on the next CPI. The next CPI is going to be lower, than the previous. So that's, continuation to the downside for inflation. So we're deflating. Oh, Static sent another $2. Thanks, bro. I didn't see that one. A little crystal ball. Very nice. Anyway, that's pretty much it. We 35 minutes in. Just check if got a couple of people sitting in the YouTube voice. Maybe I'll pop in there and say good day. How you going?
Hello, Rick.
Can you hear me?
Hi, Rick.
I don't know if my voice is working in here. Let me just fix my settings.
Can't hear you in Discord.
Yeah, in a second.
Can you hear him?
I think I can hear him. I just had to mute YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
FaceTime, Rick.
NVIDIA voice.
Oh, there he is, man.
There, is that better? Oh, no. Let me just change it. It's because of this, it's that soundboard program that's like doing it. This might work. Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Yeah. All right, sweet.
I'm over here just having fun.
Are you having fun?
Yeah, all the time.
What kind of fun are you having?
Where was our invite?
Well, everyone's invited to the YouTube stream. Everyone's invited to the Discord too, so guys, jump in if you want to. So I'm about to hop off. I'm going to finish this stream up. And you know where my head's at. We're looking at this rising wedge. I think we're sort of in the middle of the road at the moment. We're trying to figure out, are we going to actually come back up and test the high of this rising wedge, or does 17 hold us underwater? Wonder if we get an answer before Christmas. Maybe. All right. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, YouTube. Appreciate your support, guys. And jump into the Discord if you want to have a chat. Otherwise, I'll be catching you on the next stream. Roughly this time tomorrow. Probably on time this time. All right. See you later.